I love seeing the comments that ask the question, how do I know what's a non-tip order when it comes to any of these companies? Well, my lovelies, today I'm going to answer that question, and I got a few different ways that you can reference it. Now, this is not just going to include non-tip orders. This will also include very low tipping orders, because if you're going more of the distance and you're not getting paid for it, which is one of the principles here, well, then I'm going to suggest not to take that order. Now, I will use some previous screenshots that I do have, but overall, I'm going to verbally express different ways that you can pick out non-tip orders. So if you're brand new to any of these gig companies, it does not matter, Uber Eats, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, Grubhub, whatever it may be, and you're turning to videos to find out this stuff, you're come to the right spot. My name is Ash, and I'm a gig worker here in Montreal, Quebec. Currently, I work for Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, and DoorDash. And the way how I avoid non-tip orders is by looking at the screen. And the first thing I gotta say, this is not just about non-tip. I'll say this much. If an order is less than $7, don't take it. And here's the reason why. There's exceptions, of course, and I'm gonna list them. But here's the reason why. I don't take less than $7 orders because of time. Normally, an order takes anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes to fulfill, okay? Now, if an order is 1, 2, or 3 kilometers, and yes, I say kilometers because I'm in Canada, then I'll say go take the $7 order. Because if it's 1, 2, or 3, that means you're not traveling far, especially when it's Uber Eats. Uber Eats counts in your distance to the restaurant and then to the customer. And if that's the case scenario, it's probably going to be the 15 to 20 minute time range that it is for you to get the order. And if that's the case scenario, if you get two, hypothetically speaking, $7 orders, and each one of them take 20 minutes total because they're 3 kilometers or less, well, in that case, for 40 minutes of your time, $14 is not a bad start. And then hopefully you can secure one decent last order to wrap up your hour to make decent money for the hour. Now, as gig workers, a lot of us, myself included, I don't really count my per hour and I look at my end of day to see what I met. But if you're going with the hour strategy, that's why I say don't go less than $7. Now, if you are looking at orders that are less than $7, a $3, a $4, and a $5 order are generally speaking non-tip orders. Sometimes people say that it's only $3 orders that are non-tip, but what often happens is $4 or $5 orders are boosted from Uber Eats, DoorDash, or whoever, and so because of this, the boosted factor is still no tip. It's because nobody's fetched the order, so these companies are trying to push it out more. So if you got an order that is definitely less than $6, it's likely no tip. Another way that you can find out if an order might be no tip, or if it is, it's a small amount of tip, is look at the difference of the price to the kilometers. I'll give you a random number. $9 for 16 kilometers. Now, there could be a tip in there. Maybe there's a $2 tip and one of these companies is paying $7 for you to go fetch the order. But what you want to make sure that you're avoiding is kilometers or miles if you're in the US. You don't want those to be higher than the dollar figure. If you are going that ratio, it don't matter if you're counting per hour, money per day, or if you're checking on your gas tank. Either way, that's a lose-lose. Your time is going to be longer because your distance is farther. But then, since you're the one that pays for your gas tank, you're not going to make the money back in pocket for the gas, let alone your time. Those are the two main things that I definitely look out for. If an order is more kilometers or miles than it is dollars, absolutely don't accept it. Even if it is $2 for a tip in this case scenario of $9 for 16 kilometers, it might also be a non-tip order. You could turn around and it's $9 entirely paid by the companies to go that far. Now, on orders that I normally take is I will always take an order that is double the dollars to kilometers. So let me give you another example. I'm doing $10 for 5 kilometers. I got my double ratio, meaning I'm making $2 per kilometer, so that's worth my time and that's worth my gas. That's what a lot of gig workers do. Now, sometimes gig workers will also turn around and just look at the timestamp on the actual offer. So if the order is coming in, and let's say Uber or DoorDash, I say Uber a lot because Uber is my main app, they say 17 minutes. Well, sometimes for a gig worker, even if it's $7 or $8, they're going to take that offer. And let's say, for example, it's $7 or $8, but it's 4 or 5 kilometers. Some drivers still might take that because of the actual timestamp. When it comes to non-tip orders, here's another factor that's going to be happening. You could accept an offer, and let's say that example I just gave, it's $10 for 5 kilometers. You drop off the order, and at the end, the company pays you the entire $10. It doesn't matter, as long as you get paid for that delivery you did. I have always said it. I prefer my companies to pay for me. I don't really want my customers to pay for it. I want the company that is allowing me to do the job to pay me for it, but it's not really going to break my heart on who pays me. And don't be sad if you got paid out the full amount and it was a good offer, but there's no tip. Regardless of how you get paid out, non-tip orders are not necessarily the worst, especially if you get full payout from the companies. But what you might experience is a ding on your surveys, because a lot of these non-tip customers are angry. They can call the actual restaurant, they can call one of these companies and demand for their order to get boosted, and that's the only reason why you're making more money. But they could still be a little bit upset, and they can still ding surveys. It happens for no reason. It's okay, just shut it off, and once you get more orders anyways, you'll go back to 100%. Regardless of how we look at non-tip orders, at the end of the day, there's 2 main takeaways that I can give you from this. Depending on the kilometers, don't go under $7. If you do it, it's going to be a waste of your time. And the other thing is, make sure when you're looking at orders that your dollars are more than your kilometers, because otherwise you're not making much money. That's how you can identify on these applications no tip or bad tip offers and make more money off these apps.